Hey there, it's Rachel Mullins, the host of Hashtag No Filter Fridays on Public House Media.
Tiana Vanderhei here, host of the Refined Redhead podcast on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast. Once you're done with this episode, you should definitely come check out my show, the Refined Redhead podcast, where we talk to real people about relevant information in hopes of inspiring you to chase after whatever dreams you've set out to accomplish, persevering through whatever obstacles are in your way. A new show comes out bi-weekly every Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of the Refined Redhead podcast. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
In 2014, Germany shocked the world by putting together one of the most talented and most dominant rosters in soccer history.
Götze! It's Mario Götze!
Argentina, they were so close, yet couldn't put it together when it most mattered. Now you've got an Argentina team that's hungry for revenge.
Messi! And Yeva couldn't stop it!
But what about England?
Pass to Rooney. Only Sturridge in the middle, there he is! Goal!
Or France?
And Sissoko! They're running riot!
Or Spain?
It's broken for Fabregas. Now it's Iniesta. This is it. That's the goal.
All 32 teams in this tournament are vying for the opportunity to hoist the World Cup trophy.
Still Javinho. Oh, he's done it.
If you want to be a part of the action at Russia 2018, you're going to need your soccer passport, the World Cup edition. At Public House Media, we are excited to launch a new soccer podcast called Your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition. Come alongside hosts and fans and guests from around the world as we bring you all the action from the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Because who knows, anything can happen in the FIFA World Cup.
What about that? It's John Brooks.
So come on, grab your soccer passport and join us for all the action from Russia 2018.
A sensational volley.
Welcome to Your Soccer Passport, presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Ivan Sanchez, and today we have a special Group F preview of the 2018 World Cup, where I'm going to be going at it alone with no other guest host. But before I start, remember to check out all the podcasts at Public House Media. Subscribe to Your Soccer Passport podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcast. And remember to leave a review. All right, so let's get started. Group F, consisting of Germany, Mexico, South Korea, and Sweden. We're going to start off with the defending World Cup champions, Sweden, who, in my opinion, are the best team in the world and the favorites with Brazil to win the World Cup. This team is actually, I find this team to be better than they were 4 years ago when they won the tournament, especially with the defense. When you have an actual left back in Jonas Hector, you have Joshua Kimmich on the other side, and then you have Boateng and Hummels, who've been playing together now this year for Bayern Munich. It's really solid, that back line. And then the midfield just oozes talent with Sami Khedira, Draxler, Toni Kroos, Metzel Ozil, and the list goes on. Up top, you have Tino Warren, who I think is going to have a nice breakout tournament. You have Marcos Reis, Thomas Muller, and then you have somebody like Mario Gomez, but who does play an interesting part in the way Germany likes to play. So we'll see how much he plays. But the fact that they were even able to keep players off like Sané from Man City just shows the talent and the depth this team has. And I think they're favored to win. I think they are one of the best teams. But keep an eye out. They do have a tendency to start slow in these tournaments and kind of build up and work their way up as the tournament goes on. In 2016 in the Euros, they did draw Poland, and they drew against Ghana in 2014. So there is a possibility that one of these other teams in the group will be able to get a result out of them. And, I'm biased, so I hope it's going to be Mexico, but you never know. I think one of the most interesting things about this team, though, is the fact that Manuel Neuer is going to start for Germany and is going to captain the team, and he hasn't played since September. We also have Ter Stegen, the Barcelona goalkeeper, who's one of the best 10 goalkeepers in the world and had a fantastic season as well. And so the fact that Jogi Löw trusts so much in Neuer, it'll be interesting, especially the style in the which Neuer likes to play. He's very aggressive. He comes out. He's a sweeper keeper. He likes to come out of his line, play with the ball at his feet. And you need reps and you need games to kind of get the flow of what's happening during the game when you're in goal like that. So it'll be interesting to see how he is able to handle the first couple of games if there's some rust, if there's some misjudgment on him coming out, and how his communication with his back line works because of his unique style of goalkeeping. On his day, and if he's able to get back to at least 90% of what he was, I still think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. But it'll be interesting to see how that happens because I think everywhere else, Germany's very solid. They're so talented. But that's a question mark. Is Neuer going to be at the level he needs to be for this tournament to win? And if he's not, will Joey Löw pull the string and put in Stegen? It'll be interesting to see. They start off with Mexico on Sunday, and that'll be an interesting game, just because Mexico is seen as the second best team in this group by many people's eyes. But they played last year in the Confederations Cup, and Germany wiped the floor with Mexico in a 4-1 win without even having their best possible team. So I think Germany it's set up nicely for them to win this group. I think it's a battle for second place between the other three teams. So yeah, Germany, best team in the world, second best team in the world. They're up there. They're up there with France. They're up there with Brazil, and they're up there with Spain as favorites for me. I still think they're the best team in the world, and I think they're going to come out of the group on top. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win all three, but expect them to win the group and finish on top and avoid Brazil in the next round. The next team we're going to talk about is actually the team I spend most of my time covering in my writing, Mexico. Mexico comes here with a very experienced team. 15, I believe, of the 23 players on the roster have already played in the World Cup at least one World Cup or made one roster. You have Rafa Marquez, who at 39 is playing his fifth World Cup. You have Andres Guardado and Memo Ochoa, who are making their fourth World Cups, and both making the team at I believe at 20 and 19 years old during 2006. So they have experience there. There's also the first Mexico team to have more players playing overseas than in Mexico. And so I'm fascinated to see if that changes anything for Mexico, because what's been coming out during this build up to the World Cup is, can they finally break the round of 16 curse? Because now it's starting to become a curse. And since for you guys who aren't familiar with it, since 1994, Mexico has made it out of every group stage, and they're one of only three teams to do that since 1994, and the other two teams are Germany and Brazil. Problem is, Germany and Brazil have three World Cups between them in that time frame. Mexico doesn't have any, and Mexico has lost in the round 16 every World Cup since 1994. Even though they made it out of every group, they found a way to lose, whether it's PKs, whether it's an upset, whether it's an extra time, whether they've been favored, or whether they just played like crap. They have found a way to lose in the round of 16 every time, and it's starting to become the elephant in the room. They need to break it at some point, and they have a group of players who this is kind of their last go around where they're going to be in a big tournament at their peak. Hector Moreno, Chicharito Hernandez, Carlos Vela, they're all in their late 20s, and this is their last real chance at their best to try to get a result and try to make it out of there. I see them. The first game will be interesting because, as I mentioned before, Germany and Mexico. Germany tends to start slow in these tournaments, so Mexico might have the ability to get a result out of them. They do have some holes. Néstor Araujo and Diego Reyes, the two right backs or the two center backs who play on the right side, won't make the tournament out of injury. That means Frankfurt's Carlos Salcedo is probably going to have to pitch play in that center role, or head coach Juan Carlos Osorio is going to have to roll the dice with a veteran like Hugo Ayala, who's 32 and has never played in a World Cup, or with a youngster like Edson Alvarez, who's 20 years old. And it'll be interesting to see how he decides to set up, because you're losing your two center back partnerships, and now Osorio is a big thinker and he likes to plan everything out ahead. And this has come kind of out of the blue for him, especially the Diego Reyes injury. He tried to wait as long as possible to keep him involved on the team and on the roster, but it doesn't look like he recuperated in time. And so he misses out on his chance at another World Cup. Taking his place will be Eric Gutierrez, the talented 22-year-old Pachuca captain. But those are big holes to fill, and I like to see what Osorio has up his sleeve when it comes to that. But the most important, for me personally, what I think the most important thing for Mexico is going to be is how Andres Guardado plays. I think he is the focal point of the team. He is their most important player. He's kind of the engine in the middle and runs everything. Him and his partnership with Hector Herrera in the middle, the Porto captain, who just led Porto to the league championship, is huge for Mexico. Without those two, the team falls apart. There's no replacements for them, and so they can't get a red card. They can't get injured because there's not a replacement. Up top, Mexico oozes a lot of talent. You have Jesus Tecatito Corona, you have Chucky Lozano, you have Carlos Vela, you have Raúl Jiménez, you have Chicharito Hernandez, and so you have all these options. And trying to figure out the best way to get all these players on the field, the right combination of players, is going to be fascinating for Osorio, especially because he does have these options and they are deep up top, but they're not deep in the middle, and that's why they can't afford to lose a player like Andres Guardado. And you will see that he's going to be playing all over the field. I expect against Germany in the first game, he'll drop back and be a little more of a defensive midfielder and partner probably Jonathan Dos Santos, the younger brother of Giovanni Dos Santos, and I would predict they're going to play a little more defensively, and then you're going to have Hector Herrera trying to be more up top, and then look for them to use their talented forwards and try to catch Germany on the break. But there's not a clear path for them to get second place. Sweden and Korea are both going to give them very difficult games. I think, in my opinion, Group F, is, along with the Argentina group, the group of death, because you have a lot of fascinating teams, and they're so unique and different from each other that the matchups, it'll be good to see how as the games go on and how each other match up, who's able to have their style be the one that takes over the game, and how these other teams can counter that. So speaking of the styles, of unique styles and different ways of playing, this is why I think this next team is really interesting. Sweden that knocked Italy out of the World Cup, and also finished ahead of Holland in the World Cup, and their group at the World Cup for World Cup qualifying, is a team that lacks stars, but they have a cohesive unit. They only allowed nine goals in their 10 World Cup qualifying games. They held Italy scoreless twice. They are big. They're going to frustrate teams. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be organized, and they're going to play as a unit. They do have some quality. Lindelof from United comes to mind. Center back, didn't have the best season for United, but he only 23. He's great for Sweden. You also have Emil Forsberg, who plays in Germany for RB Leipzig, who's probably their most talented player, and just purely skill-wise. And he's the one who's going to really need to have a good tournament if Sweden wants to make some noise. Defensively, they're so strong. They're very organized, but they just don't have goals in them. I believe in the lead up to the World Cup, they have yet to score a goal. They drew Denmark and they drew Peru, both 0-0. And so I'm interested to see where the goals are going to come from. When they're going to play teams like Korea and Mexico, teams that they probably have a bigger height advantage and size advantage over, look for a lot of crosses, look for set pieces to be huge for them. Yeah, but offensively they're just not they're not sexy. They're not even cute. It's pretty boring and bland. But defensively, they're so well organized that they're gonna frustrate these teams. Look for them to play a very traditional 4-4-2. Look for them to funnel everything to the outside when they are defending, and because all they want the other teams to just cross the ball. That's all they're hoping for these teams to get desperate. They're gonna play 10. They're gonna keep 8-9 guys back and gonna try to keep everybody in front of them. So look for them to try to funnel everything out wide and just hope that the other team gets desperate and crosses. But I think one of the most interesting games in this group is going to be between them and the last team in the group, South Korea, because this is what makes the World Cup beautiful, and this is what makes the World Cup so fascinating, is the idea of two vastly different teams like South Korea and Sweden playing each other. You wouldn't find this anywhere else, and this is what's going to make it fun because it's a matchup that you don't know what's going to happen. You know, sometimes a lot in soccer is kind of like in boxing. Stay with me here, all right? In boxing and soccer, you could have a great battle because you just have two greats going at it. You're going to have Germany and France playing each other, and you just know there's going to be fireworks, just like the way you have two great fighters. Doesn't matter their styles, doesn't matter how they box. You just know you have two of the best going at it. You're going to have a great fight, a great battle, regardless. Then you have another matchup where it's more about one team style leads well to another team style. So even though they might not be the best teams or be the best fighters, you're going to watch something great because they work well with each other. One team's strengths is another team's weaknesses, or vice versa. So similar like in fighting, when if you have two boxers who have great styles, you might have a fantastic fight that way because what makes one of them really good also is what the other one can might not be what the other person's strength is. So you're gonna have a battle of wits. With South Korea and Sweden, you don't see any of that. So you just don't know whose style is going to propel itself here. And it'll be interesting to see if, for example, South Korea is able to take hold of the game and is able to play how they want and is able to start doing what they want to do. What does Sweden do to counter that? How are they able to adjust in the middle at halftime or in the middle of the game to try to wrestle back possession, try to wrestle back momentum of the game if it goes bad? For an example, I think when they play, the most fascinating thing is going to be who scores first, and if the team that gets scored on first, can they make the right adjustments? Can they do the right in-game tactical changes to try to win back and wrestle back the game and the style? South Korea has most of their players who play in the K League in Korea or the J League in Japan, but they do have some quality players. Son Heung-min, the forward for Tottenham, who just came off a fantastic season, I don't think it's that hard to say is between Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea. He's the best player out of all those three teams, and he has enough quality and enough talent to win you a game if everybody else can stay pat with Korea. And if the team can stay in the game, he has the quality to win you a football match with the ball at his feet and create something magic. Another player to be interested to look at is Lee Song-woo, who plays his club soccer in Italy, but he came out of the Barcelona academy. And there's a lot of hype around him. There's a lot of promise. People in South Korea are excited to see what he can do. I think it's a great opportunity for him. He only has 4 caps to his name, and at 20-year-old, he's giving the number 10 shirt, and I think it's going to be asked to do a lot, create a lot, and come of age. So it'll be interesting to see how well he does. That's a player to keep an eye on, and also keep an eye on Hwang Hee-chan, who plays his soccer in the Austrian league. A good forward. He'll probably be the striking partner with Song Heung-min, and if Song Heung-min can create and draw players away from him, that's going to allow Hwang Hee-chan to really have a chance to get some goals and be an outlet for them. Look for Korea to be very well disciplined. They're going to be very good tactically, but also struggled a bit in the lead up. They have in their 3 lead up matches only 1 goal. They have only managed a draw against Bolivia. They've lost against Senegal and they lost against Bosnia. So that's what makes this group interesting as well, because they struggled in the lead up. Sweden has struggled in the lead up. Mexico has struggled in the lead up, only scoring a goal. Germany has also actually struggled in the lead up as well. They, I believe, have not won, besides beating Saudi Arabia right before the tournament started. They hadn't won a game in their last 5 games before that. So it'll be interesting to see if those play any factor at all. Those lead up matches, I believe, with a team like Germany, it won't. But with these other teams like Mexico, Korea, and Sweden, you want to build momentum more to the tournament, just so because you're probably in a battle for second place, so you want to enter in the right mentality and with the right confidence. But the fact that all 4 teams kind of struggled a little bit in the lead up it'll be something to keep an eye on and see if any of that rolls over once the World Cup starts. This group kicks off on June 17th. Germany plays Mexico. South Korea plays Sweden. So 2 great games. I already explained why I'm really interested to see South Korea and Sweden, and then of course Mexico and Germany. And I think Mexico will be able to. I'm not sure if I think or I'm more hope, but I think Mexico will be able to give Germany a game and might surprise them. The second round of games will be Germany against Sweden, South Korea against Mexico, and then rounding off Group F with the last games, you're going to get South Korea against Germany and Sweden against Mexico. The 2 teams that come out of this group face the team in a Group E, which is Brazil, Costa Rica, Sweden, and Serbia. And so that's the other thing with this. You don't want to finish second. You got to go for it to try to get first, because waiting for you in the round of 16, most likely if you get second in this group, will be Brazil. But yeah, those are some things to keep an eye on. I think the first day of the games for this group have the 2 really interesting matchups with Germany, Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea. I would say the players to keep an eye on will be Neuer for Germany, the goalkeeper. See how he does coming off of injury after not playing for so long, and his unique style. For Sweden, I would say Emil Forsberg, the midfielder for Sweden. He will be key for them to create. For South Korea, it will be their star. Son Heung-min. If they hope to get it out, he'll need to be big. And for Mexico, it's going to be Andres Guardado, the midfielder, running, captaining, and trying to move the engine for them. So, yeah, I think the 2 teams that will make it out of this group will be Germany 1 and it'll be Mexico 2. But all the games will be good and it will be a battle for them. It won't be easy getting out of this group. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Sweden or South Korea make a run at this group. I think it's a very open group, and there's a lot of interest. Each team is very unique in their own way, and it'll be interesting to see how these games and these matchups go and who's able to put their style ahead of the other ones and take control of the games when they play each other. But yeah, so again, I have been Ivan Sanchez Carrasco. You can find my writing on Babel.com. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Ivan Sanchez at ISCAR23. That's ISCARR23. This has been your Group F preview. Thank you again for listening to Your Soccer Podcast, to Your Soccer Passport, presented by Public House Media. Remember to follow, like, check out all the other podcasts on Public House Media. Leave a review, unless it's mean. Don't leave a mean one for me, please. And thank you guys again for listening. We'll catch you next time.